Hello, my name is Dieter Loosemore and you join me for another mechanisms video where I take you through some of the terminology of how games work, try and explain those terms to you and give you some examples of games you might want to check out. Today we're talking about one of my preferred mechanisms. It appears in more and more games and it has a couple of different evolutions that I'll talk about, one today and then another one another time. And this is deck building, or I suppose the broad term is pool building. Today I'll be talking about deck building, next time bag building and things like that. But deck building or pool building more broadly is everyone starts out with a small number of things that can do okay stuff, and as you progress through the game you are purchasing new things from a common pool and building your selection of those things. So today we're looking at deck building, so we're talking about card games more specifically, where you start with a hand of cards, or a deck of cards rather. You draw some of them, you use those to do whatever the game wants you to, and then buy other cards from the middle, which will then go typically into your discard pile. It's not always the case, but usually into your discard pile. And once you've used up your deck, you then shuffle your discard pile into a new deck, and so now you've included the ones you've bought, and so your deck gets built, it gets bigger. Some games let you refine that by chucking out cards from the game. Others, you don't want to buy lots of cards because you just want a very tight set of actions that will let you do certain things. So this is a very popular game mechanism that was started really popularly by a game called Dominion, which is still very popular. It's a game I've enjoyed a lot over lockdown. There's a great free online version that they've made themselves that have all the sets. There's hundreds and hundreds of cards that you could buy as expansions, but even the base set comes with a few different cards that you can put in the middle. Each game you'll choose some of these different cards to make available, and so each game will be slightly different as you figure out, actually I want to buy lots of this card and lots of this card to help me do the actions that I want to do. And the currency, if you like, in Dominion is money to spend, but then also actions, and cards will have an action that they do, which might be to give you an extra action and draw an extra card. So you're working your way through that way. There's the witches that put a minus point on everybody, a curse, a minus point on everybody, and then there's ways to get rid of that, and then you can just buy money cards to have more money so that you can buy the positive point cards, but you don't want to buy too many positive point cards because then that clogs up your deck and they don't do anything. So there's this arc that naturally appears in the game of buying action cards to buy money cards to buy points to end the game. The game ends when either all of the highest point cards are depleted, or I think 3 stacks of other cards are depleted. Once they have been bought collectively, that's when the game ends. You count up how many of these plus points cards, potentially if minus point cards are in the game. They won't always be minus that. Whoever's got the most wins. So it's a nice simple idea. The theme is, I don't know, medieval life with witches. I don't know what it is. There isn't really one. The artwork's good enough. It is just a purely mechanical fun experience. I say, if you just buy the base box, there's so many combinations of the different decks that you can put out, the different types of cards that you can buy, that it's a lot of fun. Over lockdown we've played it probably 10 times online, and only really used one of the expansions, and because there's just enough variety, and I think we've only done that a couple of times. Most of the time we're perfectly happy with all the cards that come in a base set, so you don't need to go crazy buying it. You can just buy the base set and have great time out of it. Now that's not my favorite deck builder. There's a few that would top that for me. The one that I was first introduced to is a game called Star Realms, which is just a 2-player head-to-head. You're buying spaceships to attack the other person. You start with 50 health, they start with 50 health, and you're doing what you can, again with actions, but either to attack or buy cards from the middle row of these 4 factions to build up good combos to just attack the other person to be the person that wins. It's an even simpler mechanism set than Dominion. It's only 2-player. It comes in a box the size of 2 decks of cards next to each other, so if you have big pockets, technically fit in your pocket. But that's a great example. Also has a good app and Steam version that is free for just the basic set. But if you want to be playing online or doing using some of the expansions, you need to pay a little bit. It's really not a lot. It's like £2 for the digital version. So that's a really good one. But thematically, I think my favorite one is Marvel Legendary, or Legendary, a Marvel deck building game, whatever they technically call it, which is this one here, which immediately, if you're a Marvel fan, this is a great one. Yes, the theme is a mixture. It is quite mechanical, but you're buying kind of the aid of the superheroes to take down whatever this villain is, and this villain could be Red Skull, Venom, all sorts of different things, Loki, and they're bringing out minions from Hydra, or all sorts of different enemies of Asgard, all these things that could come out to attack you. Sinister Six. If you know Marvel, it's probably got it in it, and there are so many expansions. There's an expansion box behind me here, I don't know if you can see, that introduced the X-Men into it, and if there's a Marvel franchise that you like, they made a pack for it. And so you're buying up these almost moves of the hero rather than the hero themselves to then play at a later time, and they combo in different ways. If they're both intelligence characters or strength characters, you can combo off one another and create all these different things, and each set adds new mechanisms, and so it doesn't feel like you're fighting necessarily. It's not as thematic as it could be, but to see all this great artwork in a theme I really enjoy, in a mechanism I really enjoy, and oh, I like Gambit, okay, he's in the X-Men one. Oh, I like I don't know, Spider-Man, well, he's in the base box, or whoever it might be, they've made a card for it. And so it's just a really good use of this thing, and it's cooperative, which is less typical. The other two games I was speaking about were competitive. Marvel Legendary is cooperative, and you are together trying to take down the bad guy, or they came out with a set where you are the bad guys and you're trying to take down one of the heroes, and so there's just a lot of fun to be had, and you can tell the story kind of as you're going along. But it's still just this core mechanism, deck building. Everyone starts with normally the same cards, not necessarily, some of them start asymmetrically. And then as the game goes on, you're buying cards to build up your deck so that when you're drawing, you're getting the best hands to be better and better and better at the things you want to achieve. That's deck building. It's a lot of fun. It's very popular now. It's in a lot of games. It's not always done incredibly well. Sometimes it is just purely mechanical. Some games use it as just an element. So Great Western Trail is a slow, long deck building. I mean slow, not the game slow, but the amount that you buy cards is once per trip around this huge rondel. As opposed to every turn I'm buying and attacking, buying, attacking, buying, and doing actions, whatever. It's one of the things that you can do in this grand thing, but you should be doing it, but it's because it's how you score points and move along this train track at the end. But that's, so people incorporate it in different ways, but pure deck builders I just really enjoy, and we'll speak about how that pool building can be used in a different way at another time. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. I'd love to hear in the comments your favorite deck builders. Which ones do you like? Which ones don't you? Have you tried Dominion? I will put a link to the online game because it's just super simple just to jump in a game. You don't need to know the people or to set up a table for you and your friends. It's super easy. Get used to the game. It's very easy. Have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, tell me what you think. And I hope to see you again next time. Between now and then, do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you stay updated when I put out new material. Do find me on social media. Just search Win Some Lose More on the usual platforms and you'll find us. Thank you very much. I've been Dieter for Win Some Lose More. Goodbye.